Good afternoon, everyone. Microphone check, screen check. Looks like everything's working correctly here. All right. Welcome, welcome. Hopefully you all had a fantastic trading day so far today. Let me turn off my news feed a second. Hold on. There we go. All right. Hopefully you all had a fantastic day of trading so far. Looking at what's been going on, man, a little bit of a herky-jerky, kind of jumpy up and down day so far. Started the day off with a really nice slide to the downside and ended up just becoming a V bottom. So rotated all the way back up off the lows, and now we're kind of back into that final zone of resistance that sellers can try to hold. And if sellers are going to hold down, this is going to be the area where they would generally like to see that happen. So if this starts breaking, that's going to be where the big problem sort of comes in. As far as where this is lining up on the bigger picture, if I scoot this forward a little bit bigger, that's kind of the zone of interest right now for the sellers. And if it breaks down from here, it's still looking pretty good for downside objectives. But realistically, if it can't start going sooner than later, then there's going to be some problems. So downside objectives at the moment, if sellers are going to hold here, looking at back towards the 607s to 601s, kind of in that area, if it wants to go back down. Now, if the sellers fail here and it rolls back up, then different story. Right now, it looks like buyers are trying to get a continuation move. But it's just not holding yet in this area. Almost looks like it needs a deeper pullback. A little bit difficult to see, but deeper pullback area of interest would be down to the 23s. From the sell perspective, I mean, even that's still looking at wanting it to go a little bit further. Buyers failing on the move so far. Trying to rotate back over. That 5-minute chart looks vicious. That's nasty. My dog agrees. It does look nasty. Let's see what kind of upside objectives these buyers are looking for here. A lot of the continuation that they're going to be looking for really is just seeing if they can fill in some of these larger objectives. Like the swing gap as an example, that's still looking for targets up here back towards settlement, 11,700s. The smaller gaps, those have already completed. I mean, that one's way past. The next one was here. And that's where the top of that move was. And it's still kind of stuck there. So for the most part, the only other gap that's really kind of hanging out or looking for continuation would be a little bit further up. And that's at 701. And sellers are just winning. So it does look like potential, at least, for swing buyers to want to try to come in here and hold the move for a bigger pop. Probability is still pretty low. I mean, the market drove down pretty aggressively so far. Really strong bull bar off the bottom. This is either going to be a last stand from the buyers, puffing up their chest trying to show how strong they are. And if that fails, that's a problem. A doji isn't a failure. A doji is just a lull in the action. That's fine. That's not fine. Now the buyers are losing it. Now, it depends on how the candle closes. But if they can maintain some decent strength to the downside, then sellers will be looking for a continuation move. Oof. Oh, they gave a lot back on that bear bar. Lots of wick on the bottom. That's going to make it a little bit more difficult for traders to want to step up to the plate. We'll see if they can still muster it up. Kind of winning the fight, kind of not. Sellers selling above that. Whoa! Okay. Well, hello there, bear bar. Wow, that thing came out of nowhere. All right, well, I was gonna say if the sellers are triggering above that bear bar, then they might look for another flush. But, damn, don't even have to ask, and you shall receive. What a wicked drop. Still hasn't gotten back to that zone of support. Which is also kind of where the gap starts getting filled in on that pullback. So it's still kind of a zone of interest. This thing got slammed to the downside. There's still 20 seconds left on this 5-minute bar, which is pretty important as to how they close this thing. Ten seconds left. Okay. It ended up being meh. It really didn't give a whole lot to work with either way. A lot of wick on the bottom of the 5-minute bar makes it tough for sellers to want to hit too hard. And then also from the bulls' perspective, they're very patiently watching this area. I mean, if the bears start showing signs of weakness down here in the 620s, 625s, that's just waiting to get jumped on. Might not necessarily be ready to go yet. Nice bear engulfing candle to the downside, but they haven't triggered in the sellers yet. It's getting a little fuzzy here. Starting to get that breakdown point. Sellers will be looking for a little bit more follow through here, mainly because we haven't gotten down to that next objective yet. Another nice bear bar following through. Now they're pushing down. Oh, they still didn't get the area. And now pushing all the way back up again. Starting to build that range-bound sentiment here where we're not really getting either end going. Can they finish the job? Get the flush down into support? Maybe they can. They still haven't gotten it yet. That's another really nice bear bar. So a pop higher here might just end up getting sold into because we haven't hit the objective yet. The problem is they're just forcing people to sell very far down, which is always difficult. Looked like they were trying to stand up for a pretty strong bull bar there, but it's kind of fading back a little bit. Ooh, maybe not. It's a really, really nice bull bar. The only thing is, I wish that we would have hit the major zone of support first. It hasn't quite made it to that area. I think buyers will still try to take this higher. It's counter trend, but it just hasn't hit that zone yet. If the buyers do come in early, though, and really press, it wouldn't be a surprise to see them pop back up towards the 645s, but it might end up having to do it without me. Really need to see those objectives get hit first before I go jumping in trying to counter trend stuff. Bulls popping higher. Really nice bull bar on the 5-minute too. Now if they can get a flush down into that zone of support, it becomes even better. So now we're getting that kind of forward support being built as it is with this really nice possible wedge bottom. Maybe a spike in channel, either way. Looking for sellers to try to come in one more time here and then a back off down to a new low. The only thing that it would be kind of sloppy on would be on the 5-minute chart. It really wouldn't look very good to see a new low on the 5-minute chart. So even though I would like a new low, realistically, if buyers are going to take this based on the strength from the 5-minute and that wick holding the lows, I don't know that they're going to want to see it pull back very far. And on the daily, man, the daily's going to close just wicked looking again. It looked like they were trying to get that really nice breakdown. Ended up just going a half DP down, filling in that gap and popping back up. Yikes. I mean, there's still 45 minutes, so there's a lot that can happen in the markets in that amount of time. But that daily chart's starting to look pretty gross. Bulls getting a halfway decent rally to the upside, trying to get a small little channel going here. And again, from the 5-minute, I don't know that bulls are going to want to see much less than a strong bull bar here. Or at least a strong closing bull bar. we've got the new swing high. I would guarantee on pretty much every indicator on the planet there's some form of divergence here on the bottom, whether you're looking at stochastics or MACDs or RSIs or whatever. Positive that there's divergence here coming into that support, especially with how aggressively they pushed away. So divergence buyers are looking. That's usually a good chunk of people. I just want to see it go down one more time. Just grab that low one more time. Just not sure it's going to do it. Logically, I mean, if buyers are going to be coming in here and defending ahead of the zone, then it's doubtable that they're going to want to see much lower than 25's break. So I don't mind looking for potential bounces around the 27.75 area. But it's got to be smaller in terms of risk, because realistically, it makes more sense to see a new low. I just don't know that the 5-minute buyers are going to want that. They're not really dipping back. I'm going to hold off for now. Yeah. I was going to say, if buyers are going to come in, they're probably going to do it here, and it's still a little bit too high up for risk-reward tolerance, in my opinion. Really nice bull bar up if you're aggressive enough, but tough. Would still love to see that trap low. I just don't know that it's going to happen. And from the seller's perspective, aside from the larger zone of interest here, looking on a narrower perspective. Jeez, how big is this box? Okay, there we go. From a narrower perspective, we've got a lot of resistance kind of building up here. But so far on this move down, a lot of these moves have actually been pretty strong to the upside before rejecting. So they're giving up a good chunk. Selling too aggressively here might not make a whole lot of sense. It might be a little bit better off looking for a position further up into the red zone, again, assuming that there's going to be a higher, bigger push. Really strong rally, though. Nice pop to the upside. All right, buyers taking it pretty aggressively higher here. We'll likely see aggressive follow through, more so on the scalp side of things at 41.75. Got a quick little dip back. A push higher here to a new high is, I mean, I would have liked to have gotten a few more contracts, but this quick little pop higher qualifies for the scalp, so that's good enough, I guess. Well, thanks, NASDAQ. I was hoping to get maybe a few more on that one, but if you were able to grab a couple more contracts, there are more objectives a little higher up at around the 48s. Not a ton of room, but up towards the 48s. Nice little pop to the upside. I mean, we've already seen that zone of support, zone of support held already. I don't want to look for a secondary test yet. I would much rather see some kind of support down here where all these other wicks are. It might just be buyers buying the same dip and looking for the same rip, so it might not pull back that far. But I don't really want to double dip on a move this high up. Doji close. Looks like they're trying to break the top. They still haven't even triggered below a previous bear bar again. We've gotten it once. All right, there's the pop through the top. Man, did they fiddle around with that for a while, huh? All right, there's the 48s. Now they're moving. All right. Just took a little bit of time, that's all. If we can get a quick little pullback, I wouldn't mind a reload at 44. Still staying really, really strong. Reload's a little bit more aggressive now, 48 quarter. More scalpy, scalpy, sure, we'll go with that. More scalpy territory. Now it's getting a little bit too close to the end of this candle. I don't want this bear bar to close too strong. It's going to be too strong. I'm going to reduce the entry price down to 43.5 to see if I can get something a little bit nicer. That's too strong of a bear bar off the top. I don't like messing around with those. And the fact that it to the ticked the resistance zone up there, you know, little bit concerning. And if the bears follow through with too much, I might just stay away from the long altogether. The one thing that really has me interested in the long is the bigger term trend, especially in the 5-minute RTH, that fake break on the lows. That's nuts. So as long as buyers, from the 5-minute perspective at least, can maintain some of this strength to the downside, it's still... I'm sorry, the buyers can maintain breaking above some of this resistance to the downside. It's looking pretty good. Didn't quite pull back the way that I wanted it to. Had I left my order where it was the first time around, it would have been filled. But I'm just not going to take that risk, not knowing that we're in a sell zone. It's a little too tough. Caught the first bounce up, but not getting the second one. Now we're back up to that resistance zone. Still staying really, really high up here. And again, you know, we've got to take note of the fact that the sellers are, they are holding that zone, right? This is that lower high where a lot of sellers are going to want to see it. So if it starts breaking through this and doesn't show any response there, like if we just get bull bars straight through it, that's a great sign for the buyers, because now whatever the sellers had that they were trying to hold on to is failing. So if the bulls are going to take it, I would like to just see them scream through the top right now. It's kind of a bummer that I'm not with them right now, but that would be some good proof. Really nice push. Yeah, so see, like that's a great example. Sellers wanted that zone to hold. They just got ran over. So if there were any sellers there and they see that, they're not going to hang out for very long. You get this quick little pop. Really, really good conviction to the upside. Kind of, man, kind of a bummer that they didn't break the top. They held that high to the tick again. I mean, that could have been better. But, oh, man, and then that candle on the high, too. I mean, I know we just broke through the sell zone, but, oy. That's a rough couple of incidences to be happening next to each other. Nice break to the upside, so a halfway decent pullback. I mean, again, we have invalidated the sellers. Yeah, I had one trade. I tried getting two. I'm kind of frustrated by the second one. I had the first one with a breakout above the highs, just for a quick scalp. That's all that trade's really worth anyway. In hindsight, it did go a lot further. And the next pullback, I was going to buy here. I had my order there. And then it set up with this bear bar on the top off of a resistance zone. So I'm like, nah, I can't do that. So I moved my order down. And sure enough, as Murphy's Law would have it, guess where it bounced? So I got dodged on that one. Nothing that I could have really done. I wouldn't have changed my approach, but that's... So the only trade I ended up having so far this afternoon is that one little scalp there. Frickin' Murphy's Law every time. Still seeing some really, really shallow pullbacks. Going on to 330. This is when orders start getting wrapped up. Still have a little bit of time until we start hitting the really big time frames like 355, 358, obviously 4 o'clock. Buyers buying below the previous bull bar. I mean, I know we're right at the top of the range and we just had a huge bull bar up. That's some pretty good context. Got some nice candle gapping to the upside. Might as well recycle my box there. We've already hit that objective and gone through it, but the amount of force that we've gone through it is kind of suggesting that there might be a secondary one, which is like way up here right now. It'd be likely that that pulls in itself a little bit, but man. I would like to see a dip. I mean, I'd like to see a little bit more of a pullback. Something like, around there. 5250s, 53s. Just a little bit further back. Not so, at the top. Are the scalps based on breakouts all the time? No, not necessarily. And actually, the majority of the time, I'm not taking the breakout. This entry, if you look at where the entry was, it was actually buying a pullback after the breakout happened. I'm not a breakout trader. That's just not my shtick, I guess. I'll take a good breakout if there's one setting up, but generally speaking, I'm not a big breakout trader. I'm usually looking for pullbacks most of the time, if I can help it. Sometimes you just there's nothing you can do. It's either you hit the button or you leave it alone, Getting a little bit gross up here, kind of wedge-ish. Ugh. Pennant. Kind of, sort of. Still would love to see that deeper pullback. Deeper pullback now with that quick new high they put in. That would be back down towards the 54 quarters. if they can flush down to that area. That would also allow sellers who were unfortunate enough to try to short inside of here without waiting for confirmation, it would give them a chance to get out of break even. So if it can dip lower, there's a good reason to believe the buyers will bounce it back, even if it's not going to succeed in making a new high. Price is staying really, really high. That's going to be tough. If they break higher, we've got a bullish pennant forming and breaking up. That takes a lot of money to make that stick. Having a bullish pattern of anything and then breaking higher above it that's tough. For bulls who are looking for strength, that's potentially a great sign. Ooh, man. Yeah. Yeah, there it goes. All right, no chance for a pullback at all. Well, aside from the one that I tried getting here and then dodged myself on. Still a little bitter. Really heavy bear bar off the top again. It's always nerve-wracking seeing those kind of candles at the top. Those are the kind of candles that reverse trends. Zone of interest a little bit further back, but realistically now, after this amount of movement to the upside, I would almost rather wait for a bit of extra confirmation. The zone of interest still the same spot. Still right around where the sellers were earlier, but given how overextended it has gone to the upside, if it's going to pull back, and the pullback has any legs to it, we're probably going to see a dip back down to the 42s for now, unless it just keeps making new highs. There will be potential buying opportunities, mainly just scalps, on some type of washout back to support to the 65s or so. Maybe even a little bit higher. 67, 68. Get in real close to see what's going on here. Still still nothing. Are those supply and demand zones? In a sense, yeah. They're hand draw. I mean, I hand draw them all. They're based on a lot of different things. Everything from Fibonacci levels to zones of support and resistance, and generally, they end up being clusters of support or resistance. In this case, the majority of this one is just the range. That's where the most of the price action kind of took place. So this time around, it's mainly just because it was such a massive range back there. But more often than not, these smaller areas are clusters of resistances that all kind of line up with one another. And that's why when they start breaking, I start losing interest. You know, if they're breaking through it, any sellers that were there that I was hoping to kind of back me up, they bailed. So love the 233 tick chart. Yeah. Man, on some of these crazy fast days though, on the NASDAQ, are you talking the micro NASDAQ or the mini? God, I feel like a 233 would be intensely fast sometimes. Maybe I'm just getting old. It's my cold arthritic hands. Yeah, for sure. I would bet, though, on days that it's a little bit slower, or even honestly, even a little bit faster, the 244 would probably give you some pretty solid signals. Got to see the buyers pull back just a little bit here. This thing has been nailed to the roof right now. Zone of support just a little bit further up. I mean, there's a chance. Obviously, these sell zones are gone. Those are invalid now. But if we can continue to go back up to the upside here, we might try to fill in the gap one last time. The settlement's not too far away. That's 11,694. We've still got 15, 17-ish minutes. We got a little bit of time. Sorry, I can has math. 22 minutes. It's getting late, all right? Whatever. Hitting some definite resistance up here on some pivot points. 82.75s to 83s. Looks like a really nice potential pennant formation if you're aggressive. It's going to have to be a small move, though. There's not a huge amount of volatility. Yep. Yeah, and don't expect... That's why I said small move. Don't expect a whole lot from that one. That thing went about 15 ticks. It's like, that's good enough. Rolled right back over again. Couldn't even close to a new high. The highest point is the open of the bear bar. That's not a great sign. See if we can finally get some juice on this pullback. Nice little flush on this dip. I'm going to look for a quick little washout on this pullback with the assumption that buyers are trying to find a way in. Still not looking for a ton, though. Nice little pop, first targets there. If they can get above 77.50s, I would love to try to hold. Oh, they're backing up too much. They're backing up too much. I'm out. Nope. They gave it all back right at the end of the candle. Nice quick little snap to the upside there on that washout, but just not enough. Looks like they want more. This is still a zone of support. I mean, a dip underneath the 70s will still likely find some buyers. I really want to see them whip it down just a little bit further, though. That's a healthy bear bar. Yeesh. Might want to hold off. All right, get a little bit bigger here on this bear bar, and maybe... Yeah, that's a healthy bear bar, too. I'm not liking that. Ooh, speaking of healthy candles, hello there, bull bar. It's got a lot of work to do if it's going to take this bearishness back. I think sellers are looking for more. That bear bar on the 5-minute chart, that thing's no joke. So you rather trade futures rather than the stock market? One of the big things that I push for a lot of is understanding the psychology behind a market. And with stocks, don't get me wrong, I love stocks. But a lot of the good volatility, if you're looking to scalp them, is at 9:30. I mean, let's be real. That's when they open up, and maybe again right around now, if there's some late in the day stuff. But the thing that I don't like about it is, although they will have similar patterns, all of them are going to trade, they're all going to trade a little bit differently. They're all going to have different personalities to them. You know, if you've traded Apple for a long time, as an example, you know what Apple is like. It's got its own personality. And that's one thing that you don't get when you're trading stocks by jumping around. It's more pattern trading, which is fine. But I'm a big fan of understanding the psychological reasoning behind it, and kind of getting into that flow state of being able to trade it all day, because you kind of have a clue as to what's going on, and you have it like a story, I guess is the best way to put it. So again, there's nothing wrong with stocks. Stocks are fantastic avenues for especially crazy ROIs with like penny stocks and stuff. You got to be careful, but those are definitely really good. It's just they have a time and place, and it's just not my thing. Very rarely will you see me change markets. The last time I changed a market was to the NASDAQ from crude oil, and I traded crude oil for, like 5 years. So I don't change very often. It's you develop that kind of understanding of how the market operates. in the market participants. Almost gave me that dip back down to that support, but I didn't quite get it. Wouldn't necessarily mind seeing sellers try one more time. We had a nice little dip underneath that doji, and chances are sellers were looking for a continuation play. Notice where that was. It was right around that break even for shorts. So that's giving us some clues that shorts are stuck. I'd like to see them flush back one more time. That might be all they give. I'm long on that quick little dip there, but that's about it. Looking for targets off at the highs. There we go. Just a quick little scalp. Again, it's not setting up the way that I want it. I want a better pullback. But I'll grab the scalps along the way. I'm not opposed to a quick little 10 tick here and there. Hey, how's it going, Digitex? Entered at 73 for a 10-point move. Gotcha. I mean, my big thing here is I just don't want to get stuck at the top, you know, especially going in late in the day like that. Man, playing with fire. The only, well, playing with fire, I mean, I wanted it to go down further to 63, and it missed me at 64, you know, but whatever. Story of my life today on the NASDAQ. Starting to get a dip back to that zone. Scalpers initially, but there might be a chance for a potential pop here if it wants to just rifle down quick. Nice little pop to the downside. Quick little floor out move. See if they can pop above 62.50. First target's out. I gotta see it follow through a little bit more than that. That bear bar is not great. Get back above the zone. Beauty. Stop locking in. Oh, keep going. Don't pull back. No. No. Dang. Took it out. That's probably going to wash out all of the other buyers, too, that grabbed that quick little flush. There might be more buyers looking to reload on that, but I think if I'm going to reattempt this zone, I would rather see it bounce, give me a higher low or something to work with. You're out at break even. Yeah, I don't blame you. They're playing too close to the chest. They're coming really, really near the area where I'm looking, and then just kind of tickling it. And then leaving it out. Like, man, really? Oof. Buyers trying to push back up again. Now we're starting to get... man, that 5-minute bear bar is nasty. Bar 74 right at the top? Yikes. Man, I have a really hard time wanting to go long if they start breaking down again. I'm going to have a hard time looking to go long until they can start breaking down. Whoops, I didn't want to get rid of it. There we go. Unless they can start breaking down to like the 45s. And now it's starting to get got about 15 minutes. 14 minutes. See, I told you I can math. Even a broken clock's right twice a day, right? Secondary leg to the downside. Looks like a near perfect ABCD move down to the bottom of the zone. Still haven't really broken through the lows yet. Not enough to invalidate buyers. Definitely have them in the pressure chamber, though. Oh, that's a really nice bull bar. The big thing here is follow through. Just because it's a nice bull bar in the right place doesn't mean anything if the follow through sucks. They got an awesome bull bar. Now they got to show up to the party. Last time I thought they were going to get it right there, and they failed. They still have a lot of time left on this candle, though. 200 ticks. They might be able to wrap it back up. Ugh, maybe? Maybe not. Definitive falling resistance in the way, so it's going to be tough to go long for too long unless we start breaking through that. Sellers just seem like they've got a better case. Man, my charts are lagging like crazy. Or is that just the way it's moving right now? So is this how people that scalp like 200 micros a day trade? It depends on the approach. I like utilizing the micros with the mindset of I'm going to pay more in commissions, right? The commissions, if you were to equalize 1 mini versus 10 micro, you're going to pay more commissions for the 10 micros. But the way that I look at those micros as that extra cost, that extra fee is for the flexibility. Because with the flexibility, I don't have to buy all 10 at one shot like I do with a mini. I can buy one here, buy one there, buy a little bit lower. I can build into a mini position. And that allows me a gargantuan amount of flexibility that the mini just doesn't have. So, yeah, that in my mind, that's how I do it. But everyone approaches it a little bit differently. It's just the flexibility that it gives you is nuts. But, I mean, if you're a really fast scalper, I know there are some scalpers who are only going for 2-3 ticks. If you're doing that 100 times a day, then it's not going to make sense commission-wise for the micros. It's much more cost-effective to trade mini. But for me, I will look for scalps, and like we've had so far this afternoon, that's all it's been. But, that also allows me the flexibility to piece out of the trade and then still hold on to some for a possible swing, too. All right, 10 minutes too. We're getting that whippy. 4 o'clock around the corner. Yeah, exactly. Just like yesterday when I was building into that long for the move up into the 700s. If I were trading minis on that, I would have gotten slaughtered. The only way that I would have been able to trade that appropriately was because micros exist. That flexibility, well, not slaughter, you just have to have a much bigger account. But the micros they allow someone, even trading a significantly smaller account than if they were trading on the mini, be able to kind of still do those types of trades. It's really hard to to not love the flexibility that the micros offer. That was one of the first videos I launched as soon as they came out, was on YouTube. It's like, micros are here, finally! Woo, bear slide to the downside, breaking down. That means next zone of support is going to be a little bit further down, 44.75s. That's a heavy bear bar. Chances are they're not going to let it pull back too much on itself. I would like to see just a little. $53.50s, more scalp perspective for sure. Now a little bit lower, 52.50s. Tried grabbing a little bit more on the ask, no fill. Still looking for downside objectives through the 50s on the lows. I didn't get filled on that. Slop through the lows. Lots of sell side action still stepping up. I'm going to jump out. They're not getting the breakdown, and I didn't get filled on a bunch of my extras. I've only got the one. I've got no flexibility on that one. I'd rather see if they can give me a slightly better entry on the highs, a little bit further up. They're forcing me to sell too far down, and I don't want to stack size that far down this late into the afternoon. Trading one, fine. Give me 5-10 ticks. I'll look for another one. We are getting into that time period at the end of the day now where price action gets really, really volatile, so watch those whips. Be careful if you're floating stops too close to the market, because you're probably going to get whipped, especially going into 55. Awesome work, man. Nice. Short at 60, out at 49. Nice. I like it. Nice follow through. Coming down to that next zone of support, a little bit lower. Starting to keep my eye open for possible whips here. Get those scalping goggles out. Little pop into the 50. Man, I would really like to see a little bit further up, but the 55's possible short scalps in here. Looking for the shorts to push back below. Not getting the follow through that I want. I'm going to lighten up a little bit. See if we can get a nice slide through here. There's obvious support, and there it is. All right, I was going to say they got to slide through this. Looking for a little more continuation to the downside. See if they can flush through the bottom of that last bull bar. If they hold support here, whoa, no bueno, out. There's those whips. See if we can get a quick little snap up into the 60s. That was a nice little short there. Oh, man, they might have just whipped it out. Yep, there it goes. Oh. Vindictive this afternoon. Sheesh. Getting a bounce out of the secondary zone of support. Bar 76, lots of wick on the bottom. 77, bear engulfing candle with a lot of wick at the bottom too. Probably going to see sellers maintain this strength. They're taking back most of the bull moves, so this buy zone I think is temporary. Got 4 minutes left. Overextension to the downside will likely catch every seller on the planet looking to exit. Ooh, big wick at the bottom. Still firmly planted to the downside. Sellers are still dominant, but look where we are in the 5-minute chart. We're starting to come back to that previous wedge. So if the market's going to be cautious, this is going to be the area where it's going to start being cautious. You can see they already bounced off it the first time. Now we're pinging off it again. Nice push to the downside there, and it looks like a lot of sellers took profit. If it gets a quick little flush to the downside, back sub 40s, maybe even towards the 37s, there might be longs that try to snack it. Looking for a quick little scalp back to the upside here. Piecing out on the way up. Just a quick little scalp, nothing huge. We're getting too late in the day. There's a nice little washout back below the previous bull bar, knowing that sellers are probably going to take profit. If I'm going to stay short for a longer period of time or stay long for a longer period of time, I really want to see some overextended candles going into the end of the day. And we're at 1558, so if they're going to happen, they're going to happen soon. I would love to see an overextension to the upside. Inside bear bar, yikes. Right inside this pocket of support, too. Oy. Quick little pop above the highs, maybe? 1 minute left. See if we can get a snap up through the 55s. Although I think a lot of shorts are probably feeling like they got stuck. If it pops down, I think I would rather go long. I don't know that I want to short this. It makes more sense that sellers feel like they're getting screwed. If it pops down, they're going to be fast to exit. Quick little scalp back to the upside on that little washout move. Yeah, there's the exits. Try jumping ship with everything at 53. All right, out. Whoo, right before the end. So 4 o'clock hits, that's the end. Really nice little pop volatility at the end there. Again, it just didn't smell right, you know? It's like, wait a minute, shorts are the ones that are kind of underwater right now. Like, wait a minute. Either way, really nice bounce at the end of the session. Hopefully you guys had a great afternoon. It sounds like a lot of you had some pretty solid trades, so that's good. Congrats. Hopefully you had a great day of trading overall and you're ending in the positive. If you didn't, don't get mad about it. Right? Learn from the mistakes. Use those as a way to get better rather than getting upset. That'll do it, though. So look for the recording a little bit later and enjoy. So have a good one, and we will see you all hopefully tomorrow. If not, then, you know, I'll see all the members tomorrow morning, and then have a great weekend. So, all right, we'll talk to y'all later. Thanks.